Mm. Hello,
Hello, how are you?
I'm well. How are you?
Good. Nice and cold here in Chicago.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
it's like a negative 15 wind chill here, so
Get out of here.
it's ridiculous.
Woo! I'm glad I'm where I'm at.
Listen, you look more comfortable. I got leggings and fleece on underneath. I said if I didn't have to
Oh,
take my
wow.
kids to school, I'd be staying in the house. So,
I heard that. I heard that.
how are you?
I'm very well, thank you. I'm very well. I cannot complain. I'm happy to be here to be talking with you. And we're talking with the Chicago Defender. I was doing a study on a man named Jacques Boulard, who was the first Black American fighter pilot, and he fought for France. And he got into at the end of the First World War, he became the prince of Montmartre, and everyone would go to him for entertainment. He brought Josephine Baker there and Red Top and lots of other characters. Um, and he was very popular. And I think that when white Americans came over, they did not really want him to be lauded the way that he was. And
Wow.
I think that it was the Chicago Defender who came to his defense
Yeah.
back in maybe 1912. No, might have been after that, maybe 1918, somewhere around there. So anyway, yeah.
Long
I like
history.
to say I like the Defender.
Thank you so much. I really am enjoying the theme of this show. So I have to ask you, what attracted you to the role of Jonas Pierce?
The theme,
Mm,
the theme, the very idea that you could take someone's culture and their history and just think that it's yours just because you found it with no respect. I wanted to I wanted to voice those issues.
mhm.
Um, our dear sister, who just passed away, what is her name? Oh my God, I'm at that age where I'm having a senior moment. Um, anyway, someone asked her how she stayed in the business so long, and she said it gave me a chance for me to speak to my truth,
Mm,
and that's what I felt La Fortuna and Jonas allowed me to do,
mm,
and to pose questions that we should all probably just ask ourselves. What happened to respect? What happened to the education that we were supposed to have had? What happened to generosity and altruism? What happened to all those wonderful virtues, that some of us were brought up on and really tried to live, against the tide. So that brought me that brought me to it, and that's the theme of it. Yeah,
yeah.
that's basically it.
And that was one of the things that I found extremely intriguing about the show is this theme of protecting one's cultural heritage and or identity. And that is something obviously that's still very relevant today and still very much um in people's consciousness as we discuss what's appropriate history and what's appropriate to teach and things of that
Hmm.
nature. What are your thoughts on, you kind of touched on it a little bit, but your thoughts on protecting a country's cultural identity and pirating people who feel entitled to pirate that?
Of La Fortuna. Fortunately, Alejandro was able to give a sense of what war was like back then, and to show you how this treasure wound up at the bottom of the
Yeah.
ocean, and who it really belongs to, you know. Um, that is stuff like that empowers the people of Spain because of their heritage. It's knowing for us as African Americans, those mounds that you see down in Louisiana on the hello,
Yeah. Yeah.
Wichita Indians, who say, we have been here. We didn't just come here. This is, we were here when the earth broke up.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't discover us, so having a sense of history and having access to history empowers you as a human being, and actually, I think empowers you to be the best human being that God wants you to be, rather than you trying to find some way to circumvent all norms in order just to survive. Altruism is something that was just should be. We should give.
How did you're playing a maritime attorney? Like, how did you approach that particular character in your in the pre-production process? How do you approach preparing for a role?
Okay. In this instance, it's a good question, first of all, because there are actors who would have gone deep into studying maritime law, the techniques, so forth and so on, and I applaud those actors, but I don't think, for myself, I don't think you would have seen that work. Mm-hmm. I think what I explored for myself was, how does this stand up in a court? Mm. How does this argument stand up in a court? And for me, the court isn't just the room, that set that we were in, but the screen that people are watching it. Yeah, that's the court that I tried to put myself in. And so my work is, what is important in this dialogue as a human being to impart to a viewer. That's where my work that's where my work is, because at the end of the day, unless we had huge moments of speaking legalese, right, which we didn't, right, there's no reason for me to go and find out all of that, right, except for my own edification. I've done enough courtroom law shows to understand the process without having to steep myself for weeks into how does a lawyer do this? No. Right. How does a human being question the court? Is that's my work. That's what I work on.
I really see your character as kind of the voice of integrity, the one that's asking the question, this isn't right. Even though you have history with Stanley Tucci's character, you make a conscious decision to say, what you're doing is theft, and I don't want to be a part of it. In fact, I'm going to go on the other side and make this wrong a right. And I noticed you're a veteran actor. Stanley Tucci's a veteran actor. What was that process of collaborating and being able to kind of bounce off of each other during performances? What was that like?
That was good. Good question. It's the first time I worked with Stanley, and I have to say, for a brief moment, I was a bit starstruck, because it's Stanley Tucci, but he was just as eager to work with me as I was to work with him, and there's something that your father will understand. There's a glint in an actor's eye when you're playing opposite them, that you just know, we're going to have fun doing this, and in having fun, the fun is in making sure that the dynamic of the relationship rings true. In that restaurant scene, we could have been at each other's throats. I mean, we could have played that a couple of ways, but because of our history, we settled into a familiar way of being with each other. It's almost like I can respect your differences. I can live with your differences, and I can be friends with you in our differences. But there's a place where I have to draw the line. Now, if your nose is out of joint because of that, it's just going to have to be out of joint. In this instance, because of our history and because of how the development came about for our frisson, that puts a different tinge on it. So I think that for Jonas, there's guilt for not speaking up, and there's anger. Yeah. And he didn't come into law in order to right that wrong.
Right.
Well,
I have to ask you, you have, and my dad always says, like, it's as an actor, it is a gift to be able to not be typecast, not be put in a box, and to be able to play a variety of characters. And he says, even as a Black actor, sometimes that's a lot harder. And you've been able to play so many different characters. And what I love about your characters is that you always play them with intense depth and intention. Are there questions that you ask yourself that or boxes that have to be checked before you decide to take a particular role?
There's certainly boxes that I check. First of all, for me, the story that is being told is the star of the show. The story is the star of the show, and so wherever I can fit into a real good story, that's where I'll be. Or that's where I try to be. I was remembering earlier on today in another interview that back in the 80s, I was still living in London, and I was beginning to get more TV and film work, but there were no doctors, there were no Black lawyers, there were no, and I remember saying something to a casting person about this, that, I don't want to play these, we are great, we're bigger than this.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't do another film for 10 years, wow. And it wasn't until maybe 5 years after that I realized it probably had everything to do with that, wow. with ticking that box, Mm-hmm. And I didn't realize that I had begun to tick boxes. Also in London, thank God for London. I am so grateful for having come up through the ranks in London, where theater is part of their culture. It's not a big highfalutin thing. It's just a job. It's just a job, and for my apprenticeship slowly to come through there. I remember at one point in time, I heard somebody saying, "Oh, Clarke Peters, he's the musical actor," and I thought, "Oops, no, he's not."
More than that.
No. So I remember doing a film where I was acting as a choreographer and dancer. And next thing I knew, somebody was asking me to choreograph and dance. And I was thinking, like, wait a second, I'm an actor,
Right.
I was just acting like that,
Right.
So those have been my conscious choices. And when I realized that, I could go from West End musicals to the National Theater doing straight drama, when the community saw that I could do that, it was like an aha moment for them as well as for me.
Yeah.
Right. And so I didn't have to, and I refused to be pigeonholed, to be in just that one box. We don't train, and your father's right. We don't train to be stereotyped.
Right.
We don't do that. And as an individual, it's so much more rewarding and enriching to play these other characters, because at some point in time in your life, you are going to be studying those things.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, you will be studying bits of medicine, you'll be studying bits of law, you'll be studying bits of science and so forth and so on in history. You'll be studying these things. So, you know, just as Clarke, those things have enriched me as an individual. You know, it's in my tool case, and so I can grab that out and play with it. You know, and if I need to have more understanding of it, then I know where to go to research that. You know, but you know, for all young actors, you know, first of all, I say start in a theater. Start in a theater. You know, don't look to become a star because your heart could easily be broken.
Yeah.
You know, keep looking for the success, and the success is you getting better than the last gig you did. That's the success, you know, and keep on growing in that direction. Don't be put in a pigeonhole. Some people enjoy, you know, just one role, you know. That's fine. That's fine for them. You know, there really is, you know, and they will perfect that role, but that's not me.
Yeah. Well, I have to ask you, I heard you are working or just wrapped filming on a film about Whitney Houston. Is that correct?
Yes.
Tell me about this.
Yeah. It's there've been quite a few Whitney biopics out there. And basically what we're doing with this one is looking at the business side of it. We're not lingering on her sexual preferences and all of that. You know, we're looking at a young artist's journey through life, you know, and trying to negotiate that, and the people who are around her, and how she juggles family and friends and love and the business, you know. And it's wonderful playing with my girl Tamara, baby, you know. Boy, oh boy, Toonie is something else. That girl is something else, boy. I tell you, I love her to death, you know. And Naomi, I mean, like, it was a great company to be playing with, and again to be working with Stanley Tucci in as brief as it was, you know, that glint was in his eye.
Yeah.
But that should be, I think, you know, that's. I think they're probably in editing now, you know. And Casey Lemons, who is rapidly become, I know she's going to pull it out the hat, you know, and give you something different and something else to look forward to.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that one. I'm a huge fan of her work as well. I got to ask you last question. You have been working nonstop, it seems, while a lot of people have been sitting down for the past couple of years. Is there any chance you're going to take a break and get some rest or a vacation or anything anytime soon?
Well, Danielle, that's what I'm doing right now. I told my reps that, you know, when we wrapped on the Whitney film, I said nothing until spring.
Yeah.
I don't want, you know, don't tempt, you know, and things have come on up. My 70th birthday is in April. My family wants to come and spend time with me in April. My grandchildren, my children, and that is going to be more important. I don't care if you send me 10 figures, you know, at the end of a check. This is my moment with my family, and this is my downtime. Thank you for asking. Well, but I hope that I can spring back.
I have no doubt that you will, but you definitely deserve a break, because I've been watching you all through the pandemic on various things. So good. Thank you so much for talking to the Chicago Defender, and just wish you nothing but continued success.
Thank you, Danielle, and good luck with the Defender.
When the Whitney film comes out, let me know.
Well, I'm letting you know. Let's see. Let's talk. Okay.
Definitely. Thank you so much. Take care.
Thank you. Bye for now.